So today we have Danielle Yancey on Wealth Edit Wednesday, and we're super excited to have her because she has done so many cool things and is like the definition of our pivoting example. I mean, we just love you've gone from, we said, from fashion to being on a hit TV series to now having a blog to modeling. You've kind of done it all, and it's fun. So thank you for being here today.
Absolutely. Thank you all for inviting me. This is so fun to be a part of this. I'm so honored and I'm loving hearing about what you are all doing on Wealth Edit too.
Yeah, well, thanks. Well, so we love everything you do. So tell us a little bit about just kind of where you're from, just a little bit of your background.
Yeah, so I grew up in Dothan, Alabama. I've always lived in Alabama and I graduated from Auburn University. I moved to Birmingham afterwards and I graduated in fashion merchandising and design and business. So I went to Parisian to work, missed those Parisian days and missed the store, but I was an assistant buyer with Parisian and then moved into a buyer position for, I don't even remember how long I was in that buyer position, maybe 3-4 years. And then Belk purchased us and we all lost our jobs, who didn't want to move forward with Belk and move. So that was a pivoting point, as we were talking about yesterday. There's a lot of pivoting points in my life, but that was a pivoting point of what do I do next? And so I was able to find a consulting job for this retail consulting group, and I worked with them for about a year or two, traveling a lot, going to different companies and doing work, but then had an opportunity locally to do some modeling in a store, Gus Meyer. And so I started doing that. And that's kind of when things started shifting. And I was here more locally and doing things here in town. So that was kind of nice. So that's kind of like, the first thing that started locally is just working here, modeling, and then had the opportunity to be a part of a reality television show. And that was kind of a really fun experience and very different, but super fun, and had the best time doing it. It was a positive thing for me. And but during that time, my husband and I were trying to get pregnant. So that's, what we were talking about also yesterday, was that whole experience and the infertility journey.
Yeah. Well, so we loved your blog post recently that's on your new website. And I know just from talking to you that you got a huge response after posting that. It seems like a lot of people really connected and related on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't really prepared for all the messages that I got, but just from being on Jersey Belle, the reality TV show, I had so much feedback from the show and just talking about it on TV that at that moment in my life, I wasn't able to really read them all and respond to them all either, because I just wasn't prepared for it. And just with what I was going through myself, I couldn't mentally read them all and get back to everyone, because I was in just that spiral of what am I doing? What am I doing next? How, what are Bart and I going to do about our next step with this infertility issues that we're having? But when I posted it on my blog, I felt like I was ready to kind of get it out there, especially with infertility week being that week. I wanted to write about it. And when I started writing about it at the beginning of the week, I thought, I'll just be able to nail it and write it all out. But it was really tough to even write it out. So typing it up, I had to take breaks, and just the next day I would work on it a little bit more, and then the next day, and then the next day. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to finish it now and just get it off my chest. So I did. And when I posted it, I received, I'm not even sure how many messages. It was hundreds of messages from people all over the country, and through Instagram and Facebook, and then also through my blog, just private messages through my blog to me that way. And at this point, I was able to read them and actually respond to them. And there's so many people out there that are like me, and I didn't know.
I think that it's just one of those topics that so many women struggle with, and it's just, but we don't feel like we can talk about it. And so anyway, it's just so brave of you to do that. And, I know that there are women on this call that are thinking the same thing, how do
right. Well, it just didn't occur to me, especially when I was going through it, just with my surrounding friends. I didn't have anyone, that was going through the same thing. So I really didn't know how to talk about it or who to talk to or even bring it up. I was like, oh, well, they're not going through it. I don't want to bring it up. It's kind of like, a Debbie Downer moment. Like, and then plus, I didn't want them to feel sorry for me either. And so it was just a moment where I felt like I was kind of alone, and I wasn't able to kind of like express what I was going through. And I know, my friends knew what was happening, but not really to the extent of it. With everything that was going on, I just didn't feel comfortable saying, I just felt like, what else is wrong with me? Here's one more thing. So I just really didn't talk about it a whole lot. But the messages that I received, there was one I wanted to read to you guys, and I thought it was really touching, and I'm not going to read the name because it's someone here locally. But and I don't know her personally, but it was somebody here locally that just said, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing your infertility experience. My husband and I went through a similar situation. I never really heard anyone discuss infertility until I saw you talk about it on Jersey Belle. After going through so much and ultimately learning that I went through menopause in my early 30s, we've come to terms with that. We are accepting and embracing the realization that we are a whole family, even if we don't have a child. I feel sad and angry sometimes, but it's getting better overall. And she said, thank you for shining a light on infertility and your path. You've made a positive difference in my life, and I will be forever grateful. So it's messages like that that really are touching. And that's how many messages, like almost every message is one of those. It's like a tearjerker. Yeah. So, yeah. But it's amazing how many women are and couples are struggling with that same thing. And another message I got, it was, she said, thank you so much for sharing your journey, because I'm like you, I couldn't have a child. I went through, menopause early and everything. And she said, there's very few that you hear stories like this. There's few stories that you hear because you usually hear the good stories, the positive outcomes, the outcomes of a baby, but you don't really hear about the stories of no child and no pregnancy.
That just gave me chill bumps, because it's so true. It's so true. And I love too how you just said that, like when you were in the middle of it, it was hard to share. Like it was just too much. But now, after being able to live with it for a while and settle into your new normal, that you're now able to share and engage. And I can relate to that. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to come out on the other side and be ready to share. And for other people, like that, they might get to that point. Mm-hmm. So encouraging and hope filled. I just don't know why that was from.
Yeah, I think over time it's been helpful to like you finally be able to speak about it and to discuss it more and to get it off my chest. And having that blog post was just a way for me to kind of get it out there at least and talk about it a little bit more. It's you don't just go around talking about it normally, day in, day out to just your neighbors or your friends. So that blog post kind of opened the door to be able to speak about it a little bit more.
So I have two questions for you. One, what would be your advice or something, an encouraging word perhaps that you would give to someone that might be going through a similar journey? And then the second thing is for a friend what would, if someone was to support you during that time well, what do you think they did, or what could we do as friends?
Yeah. If somebody, just there's so many people that also responded back to this blog post and social media posts. They said that they were just starting their journey of fertility. And they said that, they had been trying and they weren't able to, and they're just now about to go visit a doctor. And they asked the same thing, what do you recommend? And, I think going into it, we personally just thought, oh, we're not doing it correctly. We didn't know exactly, how to do it all. And when we met with our fertility doctor for the first time, we were like, oh, well, we didn't know there was like certain time. We were just, trying at any point of time during the month. And so we didn't really know what we were doing. We're like, oh, well, this will be easy. We'll be able to get pregnant. And then when we weren't able to get pregnant, it was like, okay, now we've really got to figure this out. So I think, for somebody going through this, really it's to delve into the logistics of it, I guess, the details of it. And as you're going through to the fertility doctor, it's just, I think it's something that I didn't really think about at the time, but I thought that, having somebody to talk to is such a big deal. And I didn't really have that person. And I think having someone to speak to about this would be a huge, helpful point to give to someone, whether it be a friend or, somebody professionally, it might be helpful, but, just going through it, or maybe even like a group, like a support group might be helpful, because you might learn some tips from them. I should have done that, but I didn't. And I don't know if it would have helped me personally because of some other issues that I have, but I do think that having somebody to reach out to is super helpful. And as a friend on your end, gosh, I think just listening. And if you have, if you're a friend that's, had a child or been pregnant before, and maybe just give some points, but also just be that person to listen and ask questions, but really just listen to see what your friend is going through.
That's a great word. And, I think that so many people are so often to, speak about the elephant in the room. But I personally sometimes, having lost a spouse, that's another like taboo topic, like I don't want to bring the mood down, like I said, I don't want to be Debbie Downer. I don't want to, but sometimes, I've found like somebody that maybe just like addresses it and just says, hey, that has to be really hard. It's almost like it makes the conversation easier. Did you feel that way? Like if somebody like said something to you directly, did it kind of take you aback, or did you I think people just struggle with that. Like, do I say something? Do I not?
Right.
Just where you were, would that have been a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm trying to think back. I mean, I think in my situation, I think it would have been fine. Sometimes it was a little bit unnerving just because I didn't know what was going on with myself either. I'm like, a lot of people, ask, oh, when are y'all having children? Or when are y'all having babies anytime soon? Or that didn't really bother me per se, but it was like, I don't know what to tell people when they ask that. We're not able to, and, or we're trying and we haven't been as successful, or, I do think that, it really didn't bother me so much if it was my close friends, but just people like, our neighbors, or going out for a walk, and, things like that, or people at church that I wasn't really, that I knew, it was hard to answer that question.
Yeah.
Close friends, yeah, I appreciated them asking, and I knew it was coming from a good place. So I felt like that was, fine for that to be asked.
Right.
And then plus, I agreed to do this reality TV show and agreed to talk about our infertility journey on the show. So I was kind of at that point where I was a little more open to talking about it too. So I had that where I was already, willing to speak more about it.
Mm-hmm. So at the Wealth Edit, we talk about money, which is also taboo. We're taught as Southern women not to talk about it. And so do you have any kind of things that you would share about just the financial side of infertility, things that people should talk about? It's not something that you can really plan for, at least not in our experience, or it sounds like in yours either. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that for somebody.
Yeah, I mean, infertility, going through these procedures, it's definitely an expense, and it's not something you really think that's going to happen to you. So when we went into it, after a year, our gynecologist said, okay, y'all been trying a year. I'm going to refer you to a fertility doctor. And we were like, okay, sure. So we went to see the fertility doctor, and thankfully our insurance did pay for some of those fees. But as we were getting into it, and after my first surgery, and then we first started trying, and then they said that we weren't, successful, let's try the IUD, and then things started adding up, and we weren't really prepared for that, just because we thought, oh, we'll just, after the surgery, we'll be able to get pregnant, or, hey, we weren't doing it right, we'll be able to get pregnant. And then when things weren't happening like we thought, and things kept moving along at the fertility doctors, there were a lot of bills that we weren't realizing were going to happen. And I had to look back last night for costs of things. And I mean, just for an IUD, I'm trying to find it again. I mean, these tests, there's so many tests that there's so many tests and procedures, and it's just amazing how much money that you can end up spending. Or an IVF, it's probably $10,000 to $14,000 just for one round. So and sometimes that doesn't even include the medications that you have to take in advance of it. So that's another expense. So all the expenses add up. So really it's hard to say to prepare for it if you don't know that that's going to happen to you. And we were willing to do whatever, just because we were like, okay, we're obviously not able to get pregnant. We weren't prepared for it, but we're willing to do it. We'll figure out a way to do it. So it's hard to say, really, there's a financial planning of it, because you weren't really prepared that was going to happen to you. And then, as in our journey, it was not just the fertility doctor, it was the breasts. I had to go see a breast surgeon, and then I had to see, I had 3 different surgeries, and then really 4 with the breast procedure. And then, of course, one fertility doctor didn't work, so we were referred to another one. So, it was just like all these moving parts, and then adding on to that, a fertility doctor said, why don't you go see an acupuncturist? That'll help. And so that got added on, and then a holistic doctor got added on, and a nutritionist. And then, I mean, it was just like a chiropractor. I mean, it was just one of those things. I just thought my head was just about to blow up. It was just, that's all I did. That was my job, basically, for a couple of years, was going to see doctors. I mean, it was just nonstop. I mean, this was a 7-year journey, but I think for about 2 years, that's all I did, was doctor after doctor.
Well, I know that had to be overwhelming, but we are so thankful that you were willing to come on here and share about that, and just really tackle such a hard topic. And we thank you for being so vulnerable. Okay, so now that you kind of have a new normal, you have started a website, DanielleYancey.com. and
Yeah.
a blog, Details, which I think is such a cute name.
I love that.
Tell us a little bit about how that started and what your hopes and dreams are for your blog and the topics you cover.
You know, this blog has been kind of something that has been in my mind for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now. And I wanted to start it years ago, but I just didn't think I was prepared for it or ready. I had it in my mind, but then I didn't know how to start it. I didn't know where to begin. And so I kept putting it off, and things in my life kept happening, like with our infertility. I just didn't think I was mentally prepared at the time to really start it. And then thankfully, one of my rescue dogs came into my life, and I felt like that was like a pivoting moment too, because it was the perfect time. It was God's timing. And Trooper, he was just, a little, he was hairless and just starved, and my focus was taking care of him. So after that, we decided to move, and we weren't looking to move, and we just stumbled upon a house and found it and decided to move. And when we moved, I moved into the house. I thought, I'd love to start the blog, but I was so busy with this house, I couldn't even think about anything else. So I've gotten into 3 years into this house, and I finally have gotten to a point where I'm catching up with myself. And I have a friend in Atlanta who really talked to me about starting it about a year ago. And her and her husband really said, Danielle, we really want you to start this. We'll support you, and push you along and give you, support going through this. We really want you to do it. And they were so sweet to do that. So they really pushed me to start this. And I finally started it after, gosh, I don't even know. I mean, I feel like it's been ongoing for years now. And it's been so much fun. It's just really a lifestyle blog. It's different categories. It's called The Details for a reason. I'm very detailed about, all things decorating and entertaining and fashion and just all kinds of things. But a lot of my friends call me Dee instead of Danielle. So that's where Details came from. And then it's just about, basically, it was really going to be more about home and interiors and a little bit of fashion and food and entertaining, and then my dogs. And so it's kind of a little mix of everything. And I started it right as the stay-at-home orders were being put in place, and the COVID virus began, kind of like you guys when y'all started. Well, at it.
Perfect timing.
And so things have kind of not really been like I wanted it to happen through the blog. There's some things that, I've been at home more, and I'm cooking more. So that's been kind of like more of a focus here lately, is because of this situation. So I think it's just kind of like, it's going to, kind of like change over time a little bit, but the main focus was to be home and interiors and decor. So we'll see. Right now, it's just kind of like here and there. And I just feel like I think in this moment, in this time, and things that are going on around us, I think in the South, it hasn't hit as bad as up North. So I feel like just being a little bit more aware of what I'm posting right now for the situation.
We felt the same way. We, our members, they really want to know a ton about travel, and it's kind of this delicate thing to talk about travel because we can't right now, and it's not safe. And so anyway, we feel it's hard to talk about the things that people really did enjoy, but pre-COVID.
Right. Yeah. I agree. I mean, it's a tough time right now. And I think that, hopefully things will start to open back up and things will get better, and this virus will be eradicated hopefully soon, and we can get back to our traveling days and doing what we used to do. I know we're all ready for that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. It is just such a blessing for you to come on and just talk openly about about something that's hard. And so we really appreciate that. And we usually leave it open up for questions for just a couple minutes, just to see if anybody has anything. So everyone's line is on mute, but if you want to do the chat, I can take you off mute, or you can take yourself off mute if you have a question for Danielle. Sometimes it's a quiet bunch, but anyway, do you have anything else?
We just thank you so much for sharing. I know this is something that a lot of people really relate to and appreciate your willingness to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Sure thing.
Good
Talk
to
to you
see y'all.
soon. Bye.
Bye.